Hey guys, it's week 6 and I chose topic 1 to discuss this week, and the question asks, what new idea will change the way in which you use the intellectual property of others? And this is not necessarily a new idea to me. The term itself, intellectual property, was new to me, and it really just helped to clarify and to remind me to be respectful of using others' work. In the Simonson text, it defined intellectual property as creations of the mind. So a lot of times, teachers' motto is don't reinvent the wheel. If it's already out there, use it, because we all like to share resources and learn from each other. But at the same time, we need to be careful to use others' work with proper permission and to make sure that we're giving credit where credit is due. In the Simonson text, it also described the view of kind of the educational realm view of intellectual property, and how a lot of times we focus on the intellectual part of the term instead of the property part of the term. And that just kind of stuck out to me because I think a lot of times I've fallen into that category of, and what I think they meant by that is just because you're using something for educational purposes does not mean that it's your property and that you can freely use it however you want. So basically, don't use others' work flippantly. Make sure to choose your resources wisely. And if you're going to great lengths to plan these awesome lessons, then make sure, just go that extra step to make sure that your resources are properly used, properly cited, and that you've given credit to the owner, or that you've gotten permission from the owner to use their materials in whatever way you've planned to use it in that lesson. The first kind of big idea that kind of stuck out to me was ethics and laws are not interchangeable. So those are kind of two distinct things. And laws should be ethical. I mean, that's why they're set in place, to protect the property of others that has been created. But just because you're following what you think is morally acceptable, or that I'm following what I think is morally acceptable, doesn't mean that we're necessarily following the copyright law. So we can't use that thinking of, well, it's for education, so it's fine. But Dr. Holder reminded us in his presentation that when in doubt, just ask for permission from the copyright owner. And the second big idea was that the internet does not equal public domain. So those two things are separate. A lot of times we're thinking, oh, it's online, it's free, so that just kind of gives me free reign. Well, and I've kind of probably fallen into that category as well. Just because something is posted out there does not mean it's is not protected by copyright law. So that kind of stuck out to me, that even to be very careful with emails is important, especially if you're using your email, your school email, through the network of your school system, to be really careful about that. And a lot of times we probably don't pay as much attention as we should to that, or we're not thinking about it all the time. So that just kind of stuck out to me, to be really careful with emails. I do use online resources because my textbook is not the greatest, so I'm constantly pulling other things. Some research-based products, we do have a license with them that we are paying to use their materials. Other resources I find that might be like worksheets or templates or graphic organizers or things like that. And like on Teachers Pay Teachers, you may have free resources that you can download. And that's basically giving you permission to use that, or they have materials that are for sale that you may print or duplicate however you see fit. So kind of in that thinking, you're like, well, if it's free, it must be okay to use. But at the same time, just because something is free doesn't mean that you're following the copyright law. Like showing YouTube videos or a movie to your class, you kind of have to be careful with that. So just make sure that you take it on a case-by-case basis, and when in doubt, ask permission. Thanks, guys.